Welcome to Let's Talk Learning Disabilities with Laurie Peterson. Laurie spends her days talking about dyslexia, dysgraphia, dyscalculia, and ADHD. She talks to students and adults who have had a lifetime of academic challenges. She's here to share their stories along with other insights with you. So let's talk learning disabilities.
Hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Let's Talk Learning Disabilities. So you guys have been lucky enough to meet both of my stepdaughters, and you guys know my ADHD story, but today we're going to get to talk with my partner and husband, Tim. So Tim, thanks for being here today.
Hey, thank you.
What a special guest.
Pleasure.
So I thought it'd be kind of fun to talk about the fact that Tim and I both, we both have ADHD, and it's pretty unusual for a couple, not only to both have ADHD, but then to be able to actually live and work together. So I feel like we're a little bit of a unique pairing, wouldn't you say?
It's definitely different in the fact that I think I tell people all the time that it's very difficult generally when you've got one neurotypical person and a ADHD that the neurotypical spouse doesn't tend to see how things work or why the ADHD brain does what it does. And there's those difficulties there. Mm-hmm. But it presents a different challenge when it's two ADHD people, but it also can be synergetic at times as well, because it's really difficult to get mad at somebody for doing something the way they did it when you would have probably done it the very same way.
100%. So remind me, when were you officially diagnosed?
I think it was like 14 years ago.
Okay. So into adulthood, not because you're old, but you know.
Yeah, let's not get into that. But it was, and I think to give a little backstory, like, you know, it really summed up a lot of my life.
I was going to say, it wasn't like it was a surprise.
No. But, you know, obviously that was before I got this background that I have now. Sure. As a matter of fact, my background was golf, and I was running a private club. And I remember the day that it really just hit me the most and was kind of the end of the line of I've got to figure something out. It was a tea time day where I have like 4 or 5 different tea time sheets in front of me, and all the members are calling in, and I'm trying to schedule, and there's literally like 5 lines ringing at the same time. And it was a moment in my life where literally there was a pause. It was like squirrel. Mm-hmm. Which completely took my mind off of what I was doing. And it took me a good 20 seconds of absolute panic with 5 phone lines ringing and everything else going for me to say, what was I doing here?
Where am I?
Yeah, literally. And that really kind of scared me a little bit.
Did you think you had a stroke?
No. I mean, come on, is that an age joke?
No, it's not an age joke.
No. It was more like it took that amount of time with everything going on in that chaos to get back to what was I doing 15 seconds ago,
right.
and all of that. And then finally I was like, you know what, I had a pretty good idea, but then went to my doctor, and after.
Did you just go to your GP?
I did at the time. I think knowing what I know now, obviously, I think I would have liked a little more insight, kind of the way we do it. But after, you know, spending some time talking to him, and then the old typical survey and things like that, I think his question to me was, I'm not really sure how you've gotten this far in life.
I would agree. Yeah. So you got on medication, and you didn't start on Adderall. You started on something else, right?
I started.
Didn't you start on like Wellbutrin?
Yeah,
or something?
it was Wellbutrin, and to be honest with you, I'm not a big, as you know, I'm not a big medication fan. Period, for just no other reason than, you know, other things, but
not any other reason that everything he takes seems to have some kind of weird reaction.
Strange.
So, yeah, we don't try out medications at home.
I tried it for, I think it was literally 3 weeks, something like that, maybe. And I went back to him and I said, are you pranking me here?
Right.
Because like,
okay, joke's over.
You gave me a placebo, or
right.
just to see if I was going to react different. And he, literally, then that's when he kind of explained the whole trying this to see if, and I'm like, well, that clearly it didn't do a thing for me. So that's when we went with the Adderall. And I can literally tell you, and I tell everybody when I get into this conversation for me, Adderall day one was life changer.
Yeah.
I remember the first day that I took it, sitting there, and I think I probably got more accomplished in the first morning on that medication than I had in weeks prior.
Well,
right?
And I remember too, after we met, I was not taking medication. I had been diagnosed, but I was unmedicated for whatever reason. And you were like, seriously, you got to try some of this. You got to try, you have to try an Adderall, because you could see my struggle. Mm-hmm. And even just that for me was huge.
It was so different. And I very much liken it to if you've got bad vision and you can't, and you for years and you're used to looking at like a tree across the street from your house and it just looks like a big green lollipop. And then all of a sudden, like, it's like putting glasses on and there are actually leaves and
that's individual branches, that tree,
individual branches on that tree. For me, it really cleared things up in that way.
So would you say, is your diagnosis ADHD mostly inattentive, ADHD combined type?
No hyperactivity.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know what you're asking for the audience, but no, absolutely inattentive, and it was such also in the years since. For me, it's been so different because even being around this the way we do it day in, day out, and the research that I've put into it on my own and been around it with you and with everybody else here, it's that self-reflective piece of finally understanding, and unfortunately it took me to adulthood, of finally understanding why I did things in my younger day the way I did them, or why I avoided those kind of things like that, that kind of anxiety and avoidance of the overwhelming tasks and all of those things. And it's a very funny story because after, as once I was diagnosed and you and I started, working with this together and in this, and the more research I would send my parents, and you know these stories, but I would send my parents articles and say, hey, this might help you understand a little bit more about me. Not in a way, none of that.
Not trying to make them feel bad.
Not trying to make you feel bad, but, back to the whole neurotypical, non-neurotypical kind of. And my mom, every time I would send one of those, would literally call me and she'd be like, I'm so sorry.
This describes you to the T.
It seemed like a monthly occurrence where my mom was because then it started her researching those things and getting a better understanding of, oh my gosh, that's what Tim would, those are the things that he was doing when he was younger.
Right.
And all of this. And she told me and you, she's like, it just totally opened up my eyes and I can see it now.
Right. So I have the combined type, and you are the mostly inattentive. So let's talk about some of the ways that our ADHD is very different. Because you think, oh, you have two people with ADHD, so easy breezy. Already, clearly, it's my fast talking is not fast talking. That's obvious. But it doesn't just mean that all of a sudden we're like, boom, like everything we do, we get along. I mean, we do, but not because of our ADHD necessarily. Our ADHD is actually very different.
Yeah, I agree. I think one of the things that we joke about all the time is Laurie and her all peopled out.
Oh, I get very peopled out.
She has this sweatshirt that she wears when she goes home, and I walk in and I see her sitting there with her all peopled out sweatshirt on, and I know that if I'm going to have a conversation, it needs to be very few words.
Very few.
And just
don't
ask a question and leave it at that. But you also spend the entire day helping people and talking to people and all of this where you're, and
my brain gets tired.
Yeah, your brain gets tired and you need that downtime where it's just, okay, I'm checking out.
I've been completely overstimulated.
Yeah. And so it took me a while to realize that with you, because I don't think I'm like that.
I think too, the thing that I notice about you that is very different than me is that you could watch the same movie, The Martian or The Accountant, over and over again and be like enthralled. Like Star Wars will come on and you will stand in front of the TV like this is the first time you've seen it. And I'm thinking, I saw this in like 1985 and that's good. Like I'm good. Like
right.
I can't watch it again. There are a handful of shows I can watch more than once.
And it's not just sci-fi.
I mean, no, but kind of. But you could stand there and you can watch those shows and be completely enthralled. And I know for you, that's your brain turn off, right? That's kind of when you can just shut down.
I think that's one of the things that I've kind of come to realize about myself is when you think about that, why
mindless?
Why do
TV, yeah.
Because it is mindless because it's something comfortable to me.
Right.
Like if I'm watching it again, it's because I liked it the first time.
Right.
And it's comfortable and my brain can just relax and have my downtime that way.
I think the thing that probably has created the most, conflict in our marriage is my impulsivity, because my impulsivity impacts not just my constantly interrupting him when he talks, but also, the impulsive purchases or, the saying something without really thinking and like, why did I say that? So I feel like that's something that's been hard for you to wrap your brain around. Now, his daughter, my stepdaughter, Emily, she is just like me. And so it is a little bit rewarding to see someone else rub him the wrong way, the way I do. It's not just me, but I do think that's been something really hard for you to get used to. And the fact that I am very I don't sit still well.
No, you don't. You're very much other than when it's your downtime.
But even then I have to be scrolling my phone or playing a game or reading a book or doing something.
Because I don't think I've ever seen you even watch a movie that you're totally interested in without
doing something else.
She has got multiple stimuli going at the same time.
But it doesn't mean I'm not. It doesn't mean I'm not listening, right?
You're still listening, and because I've
figured that out.
I've tested you on that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, hey, we just paid to come watch this movie, and
in the movie theater, I don't get my phone out, but
like at home or whatever. But yeah, you're totally in tune to all of it, and not sure. Yeah,
it's scary. A little bit scary.
It is. You got a lot going on.
I do. My brain is a lot. So I think but I do think the ways that it's complemented our marriage is, like you said earlier, I think we are very big on grace.
Oh, 100%.
Which is my biggest motto when it comes to ADHD is we all just need some grace. You know what? If you forget to, pick up the dry cleaning or I forget to, pick up something you need at the grocery store, it's nobody gets mad. It's
that reminds me, our dry cleaning has been ready for 2 weeks.
No, I got it. Remember? See, we can't remember that kind of stuff. Even we can't remember when we did do it, right? But I think, I feel like having that grace has allowed us, nobody gets really worked up about much. It's well, no big deal. I mean, I'll just get it tomorrow. Hey, it happens.
We co-manage that well, I think, together. It's speaking of dry cleaning, I'll have the dry cleaning bag sitting there, by the back door because I don't want to forget it. And then I walk over it and leave.
Step right over it.
Just because I'm thinking about 3 other things as I'm walking out the door. But I think we co-manage that very well because like I said earlier, you can't get upset if you would have done it the very same way or you would have struggled with that same thing. Right. I think we do give each other very good grace as far as that goes.
And I think parenting. So I have a son from a first marriage who has ADHD. He's a sophomore in college now. And Emily, who you guys met on a previous episode, she just graduated high school, is going off to college next year. Lord help us. She's our, so we have those 2. And then you guys met Sydney, my other stepdaughter, who works with us and has ADHD. So parenting, from an ADHD standpoint, we've had a little bit of neurotypical parenting in that my oldest, isn't officially diagnosed. I mean, there's a little bit there, but I would say no.
He has a lot more neurotypical tendencies than
exactly.
The rest of us.
I don't know what happened. I don't know how it worked out that way, but I feel like in parenting, I've seen you get frustrated with things. I've gotten frustrated with things. We get frustrated with different things, even again, when we see our own same tendencies in our children.
I'm big on my sayings, but I'm being paid back for my childhood.
100%. Me too.
But the funny thing is I also share this with both of my daughters, and especially, Emily being the youngest one and just graduating. I'm like, you're never going to be able to get away with anything because I have been there, done that 4 times.
Yep, I know all the tricks.
And I know all the tricks. So you might as well just come on out and say it.
Come clean. Well, and I think, too, I feel like the one thing that you and I always say is I can't imagine how different our lives may have turned out. And not that I would want it to be any different than it is, had someone identified our ADHD at the time that our kids were identified. And how much different our school career and our high school and our college and whatever we did after would have been so different, good and bad, right? I mean, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. But when I think about all the support we've been able to give our kids, not only from what we just know and what we've experienced, but we know how to get them help through their school. We know how to, medication. Like we've known all of these things that if someone had been able to step in at any point in time before I left for college, I can't imagine what a game changer that would have been. And again, I don't know that it would have been better. It would have been different.
It would have been different. And I really think that, as you know, I'm a big believer in kind of fate and
absolutely
we're here for a reason and
it all worked out.
And that reason is to then also, I think, help others, right? Mm-hmm. Like I had a great phone conversation just probably 30 minutes ago with a wife that called and given me a little backstory about, her husband they think was diagnosed ADHD when he was in school, but never, no medication. And now they're adult, and he's decided he lost a job, wants to go back to school. And they actually listened to the podcast.
Oh, wow.
One of the episodes. Well, and she's not ADHD, but she's talking about all these things and sharing all these stories with me. And I'm like, well, yeah,
Gosh.
there's, boy, this sounds really familiar, mm-hmm. And the nice thing is I can share these stories, right? Like after living them through childhood and then seeing that difference and that change, even, medication in adulthood and how we always say that, okay, it might clear the fog, but it doesn't take care of the years of bad habits.
Right.
Medication, and it's
100%.
Absolute truth. But there's that whole, one spouse without ADHD most likely and one most likely with it. And that misunderstanding of why they do certain things.
Yeah, and that's where my whole thing with education is key. The more you know, the better. So the more research you do, the more videos you watch, the more podcasts you listen to. If your spouse has ADHD and they're going to coaching, you should go with them so you can understand what they're doing and why they're doing it. I just feel like the more you understand, the better.
I tend to get on my soapbox with those a little bit with just
cut him some slack.
Yeah, no, not necessarily even that. It's more or less you have such a connection to that adult ADHD, right? And that living with it that you just want to help.
Right. No, because you've seen the other side.
Yeah.
You've seen the other side.
It's a complete difference just in the understanding.
Well, and I think about when Emily started medication in 3rd grade. I mean, that was night and day. And to be able to share that with other parents is awesome too. Because again, that was like, why didn't we do this sooner?
Well, and having a classroom that was just absolute chaos. One year, and then going to the next year that's very much, there's not a million different paintings on the walls and
her
books
classroom
everywhere.
was a nightmare. Oh, she was very overstimulated.
Yeah, very overstimulated.
That's her and I are a lot alike.
And there's that whole. Then she comes home at the end of the day, even or before medication, and she had worked so hard during the day to keep it all together, and then all the emotion and everything, the breakdown and exhaustion at the end of the day, and trying to get that figured out.
Yeah.
Right.
So we not only live together, parent together, we work together.
Absolutely.
And so, which is rare. It's rare for a couple to be able to live and work together. I mean, I guess we're going to live together, maybe not work together. And then for us both to have ADHD, that is pretty unusual. So I do feel like a lot of the things that we do at home transfer to our work life. I also think that it really helps that we keep our work life, although we work together, we have very separate roles. And so while we obviously commingle because we run this business, our duties and job descriptions are very different. And I think that helps.
I think I usually explain that pretty well. I'm like, there's not many people that can work day in, day out with their spouse and succeed in the way we have in this company and doing this. And, the great thing is we have very different roles where you are very much the educational guru and you're on that side of the business in the house, so to speak. And I'm on the, operations side and marketing and everything else. And so we do manage to kind of keep it separated enough that then the only times we really need to do that together is when those things kind of cross over.
Right. And big picture things. Yeah.
As well.
100%.
Because we can talk to each other about those things, knowing reactions and is this not a good time? Laurie's
right. Yeah. She's got her sweatshirt on. I'm pretty sure this would not be a good time to bring this up. But it's funny that you say that about the education. It made me think too. So Grant, my youngest with ADHD, he's not like any of us. He's on an island by himself. But you know what? Something we've kind of have found over the years is, and he's a swim coach in the summer, and he's a really good teacher. I think you are also a really good teacher. You don't, not educationally, but you taught me how to play golf, and that is patience of Job, right? Because I am not patient and I want to be able to do it now. I want instant gratification. But somehow you have managed to teach me to love to play golf. And you're so good working with other people. You've got that teaching thing. And I don't know if that's an ADHD thing, because now I see it in 2 of my people.
It's a blessing and a curse, actually.
Well, this is true too.
Because then my kids, I want to teach them about all the...
But you don't know anything.
Right.
According to your kids.
It's like you always want to find these little teaching moments.
Right.
But then it's like, they just look at you like, Dad.
Yeah, no thanks.
Come on.
Yeah, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go learn it from somebody else.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So I thought that was interesting when you said that. It made me think about that because, yes.
Grant is very much like that. Grant, Grant is very quiet. Grant is home from college and he can be at our house for an entire week and we might not see him.
Not unless I go in his room.
In his room, right? But that's Grant's way of sticking. Grant sticks to what he does and what he knows,
and what he
unless
likes.
you drag him into that conversation and then look out.
Oh, then you're in big trouble.
And then being a philosophy major and wanting to get into that, you're not going to win an argument with him.
No.
And
that's kind of one of those things we've learned, though. That's learning your people and learning what works and not arguing. I just smile and nod. but he wants you to engage with him.
Absolutely.
He wants you to engage, but you can't, and I can't. And because the way my brain works, and I'm already 7 thoughts ahead of him, I do a lot of smiling, and I really try hard to engage, right? I try hard to ask questions, even though I don't know that I'm going to listen to the answer. But I know it's important to him, right?
I think another big difference with ADHD is you tend to have, like myself, like I am a problem solver.
Right.
I can take.
You're like MacGyver.
I can take anything and figure out how it works or how to make it better, and that even comes to people, like figuring people out why they do things the way they do.
You're good at reading people.
Where you're on that educational side, like you do that well through the education and the testing and all of that, but it's you generally have one way or the other.
Well, and I think the problem solving thing too, it's funny that you say that, because you're always making fun of my obsession over true crime, which I am. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And we need to hurry because my trial is going to be back on in a few minutes. So we need to wrap this up. But anyway, I think that's part of my problem solving thing, right? Like I like to get to the facts and put it all together, and it fascinates me. And it also fascinates me how other people think and why they do the things they do.
I'm sure there are people out there judging right now that, she likes the true crime because she's trying to figure out.
Well, that's what you think. I'm just trying to figure out a way to knock you off.
I'm going to get a phone call saying she's trying to bump you off. Man.
I know. Yeah. Have you not figured this out yet? No, I enjoy the problem solving side of it, but it's a whole nother aspect of it too. And again, it's all about what we're interested in.
No, absolutely. It's, we enjoy hockey together. We watch a lot of hockey.
We watch a lot of hockey.
Those kind of things. But then we've got the sides of each other that it's like, okay, that I have no interest in that. As much as I love you, I have no interest in that.
No Harry Potter marathon for me, and no true crime, Dateline marathon for you. And that's okay, because we should have our own things, right?
Absolutely.
So if you were going to give tips to somebody who was maybe dating somebody who had ADHD or who has ADHD and doesn't think that they should date somebody with it, like maybe they're better off finding someone, sometimes we think that if we marry or date our opposite, that it balances things out. And I'm going to say my advice would be that's not always true.
I don't think it's always true, but I would say that if you remember back to when you did your podcast with Emily, mm-hmm. and she said something that really impressed me, and I didn't expect this from her, but when she said it was very beneficial for me to share with my friends my struggles.
Yeah.
Because then if they're true friends, if they're going to be friends, they're there to help in certain areas, right? And I think probably even dating and relationships are the same way. It was interesting for us because we knew those pieces of each other from our ADHD, but I think you have to take the bad with the good and vice versa. There's a lot of positives. There are going to be some struggles there that there has to be a little bit of grace. But I really think that, the way ADHD brains are built, like, they can be fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It can be exhausting. You're going to have your train wreck moments as well.
Well, I think that's a great, I like that, because you want your partner or your person to be interested in you and willing to help you, and not just there to beat you down when you don't do the things you say you're going to do or the way that they want them done. Like, I think there's a balance, and I think
as long as you're supporting each other, there's the difference.
Yeah.
The support both ways.
And the communication.
Absolutely. Because there are times when I rely on you, but when we've been married for a few years, those areas where I rely on you, and I know those areas where you rely on me. And in a relationship where, you've got an ADHD and maybe a non-ADHD, you have to learn. I think you have to learn those.
And I think you have to communicate the things that here are the things I'm really good at, but here's what I'm going to need help with. And this is why I need help. I'm not doing this on purpose. My brain just works this way. And I think it's that education.
The ADHD brain needs the boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And the structure.
And the structure as well. But you can't box them in, right? Like, where the non-ADHD partner, okay, this is what I need,
Right.
but you need to make that clear to your ADHD partner that that's what you need, so that, and you're probably going to have to remind them several times as well, right? But if you make it known that those are the things you need, and remind them, then they're they're caring.
Yeah.
I think they tend to really be. They want to please,
they want to help,
and do the right
Yeah.
things, and that's not just with a mate, but with
Even with
everybody.
friends, yeah.
Yeah. And it has to go both ways, because then you have to be able to understand them as well, or at least try to understand them.
And I think too that especially adults that have gone undiagnosed or have struggled with this for a long time, we've talked about this before, carry a lot of shame and a lot of internal negative stuff that they tend to beat themselves up. So they don't really need help with that. They've got that. And so being supportive and getting them to communicate, and how can I help? How can we do this differently next time, so that you don't forget to pay the electric bill or whatever it is, right?
I keep saying, in our household, we try and keep the baggage to fit in the overhead bin.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's so important, though. I think you've got to be able to talk about those things, because internally you're beating yourself up all the time already. So, it can be fun. And I think our family is a great example of how ADHD is not, no two people with ADHD are exactly the same.
And it goes, parenting is the same as the relationship, right?
100%.
As far as the spouse goes, it's you have to be a little understanding. You got to show
that support.
That support, and
it's not a crutch.
And it comes back to you as well, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Like, once you show them that support, and they realize that you get them a little bit more, then you see a little more breakthrough like that.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining me today. I can't believe we're in well over 100 episodes, and you haven't even made
my first appearance.
Made a guest appearance yet.
Yeah.
He's just the cheerleader on the backside. So he's always in the back cheering me on.
My job is just to put you in front of the right people and wind you up and let you go.
Well, now I got to do that for you. So thank you. Thank you for being here.
I don't think she ever tells people that I actually had to get her started in this.
Yeah, he had to push. He still does occasionally, but it's all right. It's that getting it going, right?
I just thought you had so much to share, and that was your voice and all of that and since we've really seen how many people have enjoyed that.
It's been rewarding for sure. It has
absolutely,
been.
yeah.
It's been fun.
I love hearing that about you.
Yeah. It's been more fun than I thought it would be. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't still be here if it weren't.
I honestly can't believe that you've gone this far.
Thank you. Me neither. No,
not because you don't love it, just
because keeping up with it.
It's a lot.
The consistency, 100%.
2 episodes a month is, or somewhere in there, whatever it is a lot. That's a lot of content.
It's a lot of planning.
Of thinking and yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your help. All right. If you guys have any questions or have any suggestions for future episodes, you can email me at letstalklearningdisabilities@gmail.com. If you know anybody that you think would benefit from any of the information in our episodes, please feel free to share it. And we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the next episode. Have a great day.
Was that me at the podcast or Laurie at the podcast?
I said me. I gave the address. letstalklearningdisabilities@gmail.com. Okay, Cody, you can cut all that last part out.
No, don't. I think that's the fun part.
I'll do it. Do what you want with it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. In our show notes, you can find information about today's talk, as well as links to resources and other episodes. If you have questions about today's talk, have ideas for future episodes, or just want to stay connected, you can contact us through Diagnostic Learning Services on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So, let's keep talking learning disabilities. This podcast is sponsored by eDiagnostic Learning. You can find more information at www.ediagnosticlearning.com.